Hello, this is Yolanda, and my proposal for the subject is showing respect to local historic wetland, restore the biodiversity by building corridors to make human and non-human coexist, but having no direct contact, providing another form for experiencing dynamic ecology. The idea based on cyborg landscape theory. Then I will explain more detailedly how the proposal is gradually formed. Firstly, we take a look at the site location. In such a good position, it should develop well, but actually not at all. Why? We need to analyze based on history and maps to visualize the changes and features of the site. Here is the composite map containing the key information I found together. This map involves the historical process of site from wetland for Aboriginal people to industrial use. Identify the urban open space, accessibility, flooding, and water pollution. I used Ecology to show the problem together visually and began to think about the central problem in Yixia. This diagram shows how I solved from three aspects to the related problem and finally get some possible solutions. After that, questions has been posed. How can I solve these problems? I first circled out the interesting area that I thought may have more potential at that stage. At the beginning, I took Moonponds Creek as the main research object, believing that it has been a great influence on the site, and beginning my test of flooding. Through the testing, I began to raise questions to myself, like what kind of experience should I provide to people, and I began to find the unique points of the site, which is the position. But due to the isolation, the opportunities are covered by weakness. How to make a meaningful connection always been asked to myself. As cyborg landscape theory advocates aesthetics between dynamic objects and systems, using the biodiversity to make connection between Yixia and its surrounding may be a good choice. Plants attract animals and animals attract new plants, and the circle continues. And such connection may not limited by the surrounding area, but in the future may connecting the whole Melbourne. By doing this, it also tribute to the history, restore ecology, and make human and non-human coexist. My major design based on the theory is two corridors for human and non-human, and a rehabilitation wetland. The reason why I built two kinds of corridor is to learn from the President Safari 7 that to give people a new way for connect with the environment. Till now, I can say that this is my interesting area that I keep part of the industrial area and using the rest of them for wetland renaissance. To witness the redevelopment of the site, we can see the history, present, and future. Then I try to make terrain and plan test with the existing pattern on the site for aesthetics. And now my master plan look like this. I using the current pattern on the site by rotating and zooming to make the corridor, and using the pattern on the historical map in 1885 to make the wetland shape. The hunting corridor are inspired by this project, offering people with an in-between feeling. And this is the perspective stimulates the feeling of people standing on the corridor. And these perspectives showing the possible corridor function for people and species. After that, I began to think about the related problem to my design. For building the wetland, the first step is soil treatment, but how long it takes for the treatment is not an issue because I would love people to experience the dynamic changes. And the site has 8 meters high difference, which was a difficult problem to solve before, but now it becomes my opportunity instead for building the corridor. Since then, there is no direct contact with the site. Noise and water pollution are not a big deal anymore. As the solutionism theory says that what happens to be a problem from one angle may be desirable from another is proved here. Although time is not important, soil treatment is still needed. I look for ways to deal with it, and then find strategic contaminated soil placement that balance the cut and fill of the soil in the site. The excavated part is used to collect rainwater to form wetlands, and the peeled part is planted with trees for purification. This strategy coming from the president in Amsterdam. The sectional perspective shows how the method works. So changes of time illustrate how the site's dynamic changes from an industrial area to a rich biodiversity area. Then I began to consider specific species and I divided into 4 aspects. After that, I used diagrams showing the advantages of the current terrain. Lastly, listed some questions need to be considered in the future research. Thanks for listening.